Hello and welcome back to Hobby Bobby. I am not Bobby. Bobby's my cat. But today I have a very special video. It's one that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. But today is my review of the Lige Design. This is a Hulk Homage watch. It came with the green ceramic bezel with a green sunburst dial. I have just switched out the second one with the Yachtmaster style bezel. But it originally sort of looked like this, but with this bracelet. I guess I could just... It originally looked something about like that. So, finally have the time to work on this video. I've been meaning to do this for quite some time, but it has given me good insight into this watch. So I can actually make a beneficial review of this watch, because something has happened recently with this watch, and we'll get into that. But it did come with a nice ceramic bezel insert. The lume is just slightly different color to what's on this one, and the color itself has some slight variation. Not too noticeable. It is more noticeable in real life, but it's just a little bit of quality differences between the two pieces. This one was the first one I purchased. This one is the one that I bought used. So normal price on Amazon, it was selling for $60. So this one was $60. This one was used, so it was about $52 if I'm remembering properly. But whichever one I'm holding, hopefully we're grading it based on this bezel or this bracelet with this bezel. But whichever one I'm holding at the time, hopefully it's not too confusing. But let's get right into this. So far, I gotta say I'm really happy to own this watch. Overall, I do really like this watch. It has a nice solid in construction stainless steel bracelet, stainless steel case, very nice Rolex style clasp. It does have a diver's extension. I don't want to deploy it right now, but it does have that capability. It also has more pins, so they can adjust the bracelet to make it larger or smaller to fit more wrist sizes. It's not the glide lock system, so it's not by any means easy to size adjust, the micro adjusts, but it does allow you to have that capability. So that is a plus. It has nice solid end links, and it came with a nice ceramic bezel insert. The bezel itself, what holds the bezel insert, beautifully milled, nice deep grooves. Yeah, the look and feel of this and how it feels on the wrist, I would, if I were to grade it right now off the top of my head, I would give it about a 9.5 or even a 10 out of 10 for look and feel. So far, you know, without getting into the movement, I do really like these watches. Individually, I wore this one first for about 2 months, maybe even 3, and then this one for about 2 months, and I can't remember, maybe even 3. So I noticed some things while wearing these. First off, the bezel action, really nice on these, really snappy, but at times it's actually a little too easy to rotate the bezel. So the look and feel of the bezel, I'd grade it as a 9 or a 10, but because it sort of rotates without my intention, I'd have to grade it a little lower, maybe an 8.5, maybe a 9 out of 10. But the look and feel of the bezel, really nice. But I know it rotating on its own might bother some folks. But again, let's talk about the movement. Basically, while wearing this for about 2 months, I've noticed that it had no power reserve on this one. It's weird because when I switched over to this one for about 2 months or so, it did have a power reserve, and I didn't have to worry about winding it daily. It kept spot on time, so I was very happy with this one. This is the original one that I bought. It was the one that wasn't used. So this one, I'm kind of grading it a little less harsh because maybe that was the case. Maybe somebody didn't like it that it didn't have a power reserve, and that's why they returned it. So far, I'm assuming that it's supposed to have a power reserve, but this is what's sort of interesting about this. About a couple weeks ago, This one was keeping very reliable time, but for whatever reason, during one day, some random day a couple weeks ago, I noticed the rotor making a slightly different noise. It's a little more gritty than it had previously been. Now this one was always really free flowing, and I think you can see it on my unboxing. The rotor was very free flowing, and you could spin it and it would just keep spinning for a while. Right now it's being a little nice to me right now, but now it's not as free flowing, and what is really irritating is the power reserve has, I think, malfunctioned, if it ever even had a power reserve. So basically, you would expect it to maybe last throughout the night. Now it absolutely does not do that at all. And actually, during the day, before setting this, making this video and sitting down, I did set these at the exact same time, and there are some differences in what time it's suggesting. What time is it right now? Real time saying it's 2:16, so that would better match this one, but for whatever reason, I guess this is moving much too fast, and in addition to that, it is no longer keeping power throughout the night. So now I have to wind it daily and set the time daily, which is a little bit annoying. This one, it still might last a day, maybe throughout the night, but by no means do I think it has a well-functioning power reserve. So unfortunately, that's where we are with this. Apparently it's a high beat movement, so the second hand sweeps rather nicely, and in person it does. I can attest to that. I can agree that it does sweep fairly nicely and better than some of my other automatic watches that I've had. But I'm a little disappointed in maybe the longevity of this watch, because I did get two to try to grade 2 and one used. So it's not giving it its best chance at a high grade, but to have 2 in my possession where neither of them have a good reliable power reserve, and actually this one malfunctioning to the point where it's adding maybe 3 minutes during the day, you know, just like through me recording this, maybe a couple hours, it's added a few minutes. I'm not very pleased with the longevity and the accuracy of this watch. This one, however, it was the used one, shockingly enough. It keeps better time throughout the day. It just may or may not hold throughout the night. So it's a little disappointing, but it's also, in my humble opinion, it's not the worst. I mean, I do not really purchase these watches to have absolutely spot on accuracy as far as the timekeeping. I know that's a little redundant to buy a watch that doesn't have accuracy in timekeeping, but for me, it's sort of the almost the ritual of having the automatic movement, and to know that it's not adding battery waste into the environment, and then couple that with the look and the feel of the watch. I just think it's more of a stylistic choice to own an automatic watch rather than its accuracy. If I wanted a highly accurate automatic movement, I would have to do something like a luxury Swiss-made watch, maybe a Rolex, but I do not have that luxury to own those watches. So if I wanted real great timekeeping, I would just go quartz. So I'm not necessarily buying these watches to have spot on accuracy. It just was a little disappointing where 2 months of owning both of these watches, they were keeping time rather well. But then just, you know, half a year later, they not so much, not holding up so good. To compare that with my Invicta Yachtmaster mod, it is the Pro Diver model. It's the NH35 movement. It has lasted pretty much a year with no hiccups. The timekeeping on that is beautiful. It's not the best, of course, but it is superior to this watch. But it's not as comfortable to wear. So there's a lot of give and take with some of these watches. If I were to do this again, I think I would just spend the extra $30 and get the Pagani design. That would give me the more reliable movement. It would still give me a ceramic bezel, so it would look and stay pristine for longer periods of time. It also had the has the sapphire crystal. This is not a sapphire crystal, so it is going to be prone to scratches, and I actually already have kind of a nick right here where the 11 hour is. I don't think you can hardly see it on the camera, but it is there. So the longevity of these, I'd have to grade this maybe a 6 or 7. And that's me not really knowing if it has a power reserve. I suppose I can research this further. I don't know the exact name of this movement, and I haven't researched the ins and outs of this movement. As it stands, neither of these perform as if it has a power reserve. So if that's something that you sort of need in a watch and you kind of want it to be reliable throughout the week and not have to change the time or have to manually wind it, then this might not be the watch for you. And I'm really glad that the time frame that I made this video, because not just 2 weeks ago, both of these watches were performing fairly well. So with that in mind, I'd probably grade this watch out of 10. Overall, everything with size, the fit, its comfort, build quality, and everything else in mind, I'd probably give it 7.5. I think it's really run-of-the-mill grade. Maybe an 8. I'm not sure, depending on how you feel about the movement. I've gotten the most compliments while wearing these watches than I've ever gotten with any other watches. So look is there, how it fits on the wrist, the feel of it, it's all there. The build quality, I think, is there, at least on the case and the bracelet. I just a little disappointed on having to set the time daily now. And with this one, it doesn't really hold accurate time throughout the day itself. So I gotta give it down points for that. I think 7.5, maybe 8, depending on how you feel, is what I would give for these watches. So thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate those of you who have been patiently awaiting my next video. I really hope to be making more. While I'm sitting down right now, I'm hoping to at least record a couple other videos. It's just my camera keeps dying. But I do want to at least talk a little bit about my upcoming ideas and projects. If all you came for is the review of this watch, I don't think I'm going to be talking about this watch anymore. But basically, I don't know if you've heard in the video, at least, I did purchase a new mic. So this is the mic that I'm using. I don't have the pop filter on, the mesh part. I do have the little foam. I think it's the windbreaker. So let me know if the pops could be tweaked a little bit. What I've noticed through my tests is that the pop filter itself, it makes little noise, but it is some extra noise, and I want to reduce as much background weird noise as possible, and maybe I can edit the a little bit of the pops in post. I'm not sure, or at least hopefully they're not as impactful. So this is sort of the setup that I'm hoping for. I also have made a new camera rig that holds my camera. Initially, it was a tripod that I basically fastened onto my guitar holder, my guitar hook, whatever you want to call it. But now I've made a much more sophisticated collapsible camera, basically tripod rig that mounts to the wall. So I'm really excited. And I would talk more about what my future projects are, but my camera is dying as I'm speaking, so hopefully you enjoyed this, and hopefully you can make a wise purchase decision for the Lige Design Watch Hulk Homage. Thank you again so much for watching. Hope to see you on the next one soon. I think that went okay. 7 minutes.